Okay, y'all got like 10 seconds. Dun, 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 dun.
Hi.
Okay, come on, Tammy. What's up?
So I'm new to the group. I've lived in Atlanta for several years, but I'm a travel nurse and I decided to move to Nashville. So that's where I am now. And so I've been married before. I was married for 16 years. And now I'm at the point where I feel like I'm good, but I know God has someone for me. And my friends tell me that I need to get out so that the guy can find me, because the Bible says that the man will find you. And so I feel like God knows my whereabouts. He knows when I'm at the store, he knows when I'm shopping. So I feel like that person would be able to find me when I am out and about. But they said I need to get on different sites and all these things. So I was just wondering, what was your take on that?
Well, I think your friends are right. The Bible says that you need many counselors. So I think your friends are right. One of the issues that we do find with a lot of people is that they do kind of do that. They stay at the same grocery store. They go to their job. They come home, and so you're limited to the people you can meet because of basically the barriers you kind of put around you. You might not recognize them as such, but it is. So what God's going to do well in is when you move yourself out of that and put yourself in places where your person more than likely would hang out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because it's like here in Atlanta, we try to do events to get people out. But we also do encourage people just to say, hey, go to a restaurant, go to the Beltline, go to church. I even will tell women, hey, church hop. You don't have to just go to your church. Go to your church at 9 o'clock and then go over to another church at 11 o'clock. You can volunteer at multiple churches. You don't have to just stay at your church. I mean, who in the world said you can't go to another church? So be that and then be friendly. I do find that a lot of women, it's kind of funny to me now because I can kind of see it. Me and my friends, we used to say, even in our early 30s, we would say we liked older women because when you go to hug an older woman, a woman that's 20 years older than you, she doesn't care that you're hugging her. She doesn't care that you're laughing with her or whatever. She's very open to that. But you get somebody your age and then they won't even make eye contact because they just swear up and down you're going to talk to them or you're going to try to make a move on them. And the problem with that is when you do that, you could be not making eye contact or not being friendly to the very person that is out there looking for you. And because you're new, one of the things that we try to encourage for a lot of women, for them to understand, and women fight me and fight me and fight me on this, but there's other guys out there that are talking about this as well, and actually some very smart women that understand this as well, that only about 20% of men are really Hollywood aggressive. Most men will really desire to have something, a smile, a look, something that invites them over to have the conversation. Many of them will not walk across a crowded room if they see you and they think you're attractive because men are shy. Okay? If those men actually had those chops, all you have to do is think about it. They will be playing every single woman that they see.
Okay.
So 9 times out of 10, the man that comes over very easily, you've never seen him, you've never smiled at him, whatever, not all of them, but many of them, when they're like that, that generally means that they might not be the guy you're looking for. Okay, so I can't say 100% because like Sean, Sean Williams, you can see him, Sean W, if you have a computer. Me and him talk a lot. He's a CSC organizer. Me and him talk a lot. Well, he's from New York, and in the New York sun, up in there, the men are a lot more aggressive. because they have to be. You know, you're dealing with women that you're passing on the subway, women that you're passing on the street. So if you're not aggressive, you're just not going to get them. But I'm a Southern boy. You know, I was born and raised in Tennessee. So I'm not that aggressive. So I could be right next to a woman that I'm attracted to and might not say anything. So it's really important to be friendly and to make sure that you are approachable. Because, like I say, the very person that you're looking for could be right there next to you. And then you're believing what Hollywood has told you about men instead of what is the reality about men.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I would encourage you on that. What's up, Tashawn?
Hey, I got to jump off, but I wanted to say right quick, because I was trying to see if you were going to remember. Joseph always reminds us that we should be practicing anyway. So even if you're not necessarily finding the one every time you meet somebody, you should still practice engaging with people, going out, so that you don't get out of practice. It seems kind of crazy, but I think that any of us have gone a long time without dating, have noticed that when you do start dating again, you realize that you've kind of adjusted to not dating. And so you guys just got to practice being open and being accustomed to that whole process of going out and getting all dressed up and all the different things that come with it, basically. So
That's a good point. Thank you.
No problem. You guys have a good one.
All right, see you later, Tashawn. Tashawn is one of our organizers, by the way, for all the new people. Are you clapping or you put your hand up, Mr. Tim?
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw this out. I learned a hard lesson a couple of years ago, and I just feel like I should share it. It's on my heart. In church, I knew this woman that I just really, as soon as I saw her, she was in the choir, and I was like, wow. And she was just so godly, and she just knew the word, and she had a nice, soft voice, and she was just so graceful and just beautifully dressed. I mean, you couldn't possibly look more stunning. So I really was like zeroing in on her. I said, really, I like her. But there was another guy in the church that was very quiet, didn't come to church very often, didn't say much. And I talked a lot, and I was real animated. I talked to her quite a bit about the Bible, and she kind of liked me. It was cool, and I gave her a painting I had done, and she said, thank you, I'll hang it in my office. But this guy, very quiet, didn't seem very sociable or anything, but but she zeroed in on him. I mean, he was it, man, as far as she was concerned. So I didn't pray about it. I didn't seek God's will for it. I wanted this person. And I guess I was kind of stubborn a little bit, and I learned a hard lesson that I was doing so much for her and with her and talking to her so much and being funny with her. And we talk scripture and we talk life and everything, but she liked me as a guy, as a friend, as a nice person. But I went overboard. And then finally she told me, look, I'm engaged to this guy and I want you to come to the wedding. And I said, oh my gosh. So I learned a hard lesson with that I was wasting too much energy on this person. And I think if I had prayed to God, he would have told me, for whatever reason, that's not the one. Stop wasting your time. In other words, be friendly and like her and say, how you doing and everything. But I was going too much for this one person. And I need to learn now to ask the Lord, because I think he will tell me, yes, no, go ahead, stop, back off. So I just want to throw that up, that we're still, friendly together, but it kind of hurts a little bit because I overdid it. And he put forth very minimal effort. I mean, he just came there and said, hey, how you doing? And she was just like, oh, because that's the guy. And I'm glad for her. They're happily married. They're doing fine. But I just felt like I got to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? I got to put my spiritual antennas out more. And I got to rely on God more to guide me exactly which way to go. If that makes any sense, not just go head over heels like a bull charging after a flag. I need to say, Lord, am I doing the right thing? Or is there someone else? Or maybe I'm wasting my time on this. And he would have said, yeah. So I just throw that out.
I mean, I partially agree with you on that, Mr. Tim. I mean, it probably is in more of a male conversation. I think Sean is also unmuted. so he probably has something to say as well. But one of the things that I will say, and I'm going to try to make this as I don't know, the ability for it to, hit men and women, because this topic right here is something we could talk about literally all day.
Yeah.
We kind of have before. But the way women are attracted to men, the way that you came into that, most likely, even a lot of women they're not attracted to that. That's about the best way I can describe it without trying to get into too many details. While I will say you do need to rely on God, and I do think you're right in that, but there is an energy that women are attracted to when they first meet men. And if you're not in that energy of what they're attracted to, they're not going to be attracted to you. It's one of the things we talk about in this group, and I'm constantly trying to get women to understand that, and this is how I will say it to women, is that, a lot of women mistake, indifference, I'm sorry, they mistake indifference for confidence. Okay, because women are attracted to confidence. So the more you're doing for these women, the more they're not thinking that you're confident, the more they're seeing you in this friendship mode, instead of it being the opposite. It's always been one of the things that has plagued, I think, most men as they've gotten older. And like I said, we talked about this a little bit before when we meet just as men. But what generally happens is, since we only have one person's hand up, that's why I'm continuing talking. And I am going to get to you, Ms. Shelda. So one of the things that happens is in middle school is that, men are sitting there and they're getting all these things from women, little boys are getting things from women. And all these girls are saying, oh, we like good guys. Oh, we like good guys. And then as men, we're internalizing that. But then who gets the women is actually the jerks, the absolute jerky guys. Those are the ones that get the women. And the reason why they seem so confident is because they really don't care. What they've learned is to date the girl that likes them. So they're not really caring if they get the girl or don't get the girl. They're not concerned about, this, that, or the third. They just like whatever. And because they're like whatever, they don't care and they don't do anything for the women. And so you have this indifference versus confidence. So as they get older, they're really walking in indifference. They're not walking in confidence. Confidence, true confidence, is a man walking up to a woman who he finds stunningly beautiful or wonderful or this great personality, and then being able to talk to her. There's actually very few men that can do that. I know men who talk to women who have a phone full of women's numbers, and they use the indifference rule. They never talk to the women that they really want. They just talk to the women that's next to them. I've seen it. And it's crazy because it's generally the ones that are acting like they're so confident. No, you're not. You're indifferent. You're dating the women that you're okay with, that she doesn't intimidate you at all. And so that's one of the things that unfortunately may have happened to your friend, is that she might have just got caught up in the indifference. But I know Natalie's gonna have something to say about that, but we got to get to Shelda first. So I'm gonna be quiet. So go ahead, Shelda, talk.
Good morning. Again, my name is Shelda, and this is my first time on. So this is very interesting. I'm finding this conversation extremely enlightening. So a lot of what you said so far, I have experienced. First of all, not too long ago, a few months back, I met this guy at Walmart. I was putting groceries in my car, and he was just kind of passing by, and I didn't really pay him any attention. And then he spoke to me, and I spoke. And you're right, a lot of men feel, and I've talked to one of my best friend is a guy, and he said that he finds that a lot of women are unapproachable. They're just not friendly. And me personally, I just do not even meet a stranger. So that's number one. And so when he was going by, he spoke and I spoke back to him. And then he said to me, he says, I remember you from a few months ago. And I was like, I said, I don't know you. And he says, no, he says, I saw you at Kroger over in such and such. And he goes, and I remember you. And this was like 5 months before. And I was like, I said, no. I said, which Kroger? And so he told me, and I said, no, I never go to that Kroger. He goes, no, I seen you at that Kroger. So anyway, the more I thought about it, he was right. I was at that Kroger. And although I never go to that Kroger, but I was at that particular Kroger. And I remember because I was in there to get I was using the kiosk to get my tag for my car. Well, to make a long story short, so we just, we exchanged numbers and everything. And I had asked him, I said, well, why didn't you approach me at that Kroger? And he was like, I wasn't sure. He goes, then that's when he told me that most women are not approachable. He finds that they're not approachable. And he said, but I thought I'd take a chance and just speak to see how you reacted. And he goes, and you're just very friendly. And so he says, I'm so glad I did. Although that did not work out. And he was a younger man, 15 years younger than me. And he said to me, he says, the same exact thing that you said. He says, I do not like to date women my age because, like you said, if I hug an older woman or, I get more from her, more maturity, all of that you said. He says, so I prefer an older woman instead of dealing with women my age. And I mean, and he's 50 and I'm 62. So, but anyway, so that was that. So you're absolutely correct on that particular point. The other thing that I wanted to say is just recently, and I do mean recently, like September 2nd of this particular month, it came to me. I like to play cards and I like to play spades. And so I decided to go out there and Google to see if there was any card playing groups out there. And so that's how I found this group, is because I Googled cards and found West Side Spaders. And then I found this group and some other groups, a book group and everything. But anyway, so for the last couple of weeks, I have been going to different places that they're having events and playing cards because I just enjoy it. Well, last night I was at one that we did on Nextdoor, and someone on Nextdoor on Tuesday of this week said, does anybody want to play cards and sit together? Let's just get the neighborhood together, blah, blah, blah. Well, from Tuesday to Friday, they put together something that someone offered up their home. I didn't know these people from Adam. They're not, a lot of them, none of them were even in my neighborhood, but they were on Nextdoor. So I took a chance and I went and absolutely had a ball, absolutely had such a good time. So I'm saying that to say too, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. Because my son was like, Mom, you need some new friends. And I told him that I was, and I'm very careful, I give him the address where I'm going, whatever. But I am meeting wonderful people. When I say I didn't know any of these people last night, and she had a house full, there's probably about 50, 60 people there, but they had like 4 or 5 tables set up for cards. We laughed, we talked, we joked, we had a ball. People bought food, I bought drinks, people bought everything to provide, because this woman provided her home. So I'm saying that to say that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I am meeting people at different places, and there was just as many men there as there were women. No, there was no cursing, there was no foul language, there was nobody getting upset. These were good Christian people, and we had fun. We talked some smack across the table, but it was not bad. We just had a good time. And so there's other avenues out there besides church, because the devil's in church too. And so I've not met some nice people in church. And so there's just other avenues where you can meet people. Like I said, I met Trey at Walmart, but I've met a lot of nice people since I've been playing spades. And every week now, it looks like we may be between West Side Spaders and the group that I was with last night. We may be getting together doing something, but it's just good, clean fun. And, you just got to step out of your comfort zone and find new avenues and different things to go and meet people. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We really do appreciate that. Come on, Natalie.
Hey guys. So, I play devil's advocate with all what you said about the confident, man and stuff like that. So, I would have to disagree about like whether, well, let me say this. Let me just give you the story. So, in terms of a confident man, I find that I'm more drawn to confident men in a sense that I am a very outspoken woman. So, like, if I don't like something, I call it out. And I'm very assertive when it comes to things that I want and things that I believe in and stuff like that. And I find that men that are not confident, they don't really reflect that as well. And I find myself like, I don't want to say running over them in a relationship, but I feel like they don't really take a stance, if that makes sense. Like, for example, this guy like made a comment under my picture like on social media or something, and then I was like, you know what, let me just DM him. So I just DM'd him and I was like, hey, what's going on? I noticed that you commented on my photo and whatnot, so that was like my entry point or whatever. He was like, yeah, I'm glad you DM me because I wanted to DM you but I didn't. And I was like, why didn't you DM me if that's the case? He was like, well, I didn't want to sweat you. And I'm just like, what? So like me going out of my way to DM you is sweating you then, if that's the case. And I just didn't receive that well, because I'm just like, if there's something you want, regardless if it's a woman, a man, a career, whatever, and it's like you don't take the initiative to get what you want, that speaks volumes. And for me, I just can't really get with a man like that, because I feel like I'd have to coach you on a lot of stuff. Like, if you knew like I was someone you wanted to be with, someone you wanted to talk to, and you didn't take the initiative, you just let it slide because of your confidence is low. I don't know what was going on with him or what his thought process was, but it was like, it just turned me off because it just made me feel like I wasn't worth the effort to put in for you to make a move on. So I mean, it is what it is. You might think that you are, to your point where you saying like most guys won't take that approach. But I feel like with you not going after the woman that you want, sometimes that can transcend into other avenues in life. Like you not getting the career you want, you not getting the money you want, you not getting the, promotion you want, or I don't know what it is, car, I don't know, whatever you can think of. That's what I think. So I know you're gonna have something to say about that, but like, yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna let Sean go into that a little bit more than me, because I'm sure he probably has more to say about that. But I just think that there's just different types of confidence. I'll always say that there's different types of confidence, and confidence is generally based off of one thing that you said, which I 100% agree with, which is what do you want, and then the other part of is what are you comfortable with, and you're generally comfortable with things that you've just done a lot. That's just it. I could be confident as the sun is bright in the sky, but then if I say, well, I'm going to play for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Well, being 40 plus and not being in shape is not going to help me. But even though I used to play football, I'm just not more than likely going to make that happen. And so there are certain things that I think that I am, people are very confident in. And so I think you have to lean on the confidence of the person that's in front of you. And I think we get them mixed up. We think one leads into the other, but what I find is that they don't. They don't. Somebody can be extremely confident when it comes to raising a family, when it comes to this, that, and the third, and absolutely horrible, when it comes to something else, and that's just what I find. It's even like when you think about people like middle managers, you got people in their jobs, they went to school, they're middle managers, and they do these jobs, they're making their six figures or whatever it is, but they don't have the confidence to actually lead a company. but they're very confident being a middle manager. And you would think it's the same thing. You know, you're managing a people versus you're managing a company, but it's really two totally different things. Same thing when I've learned in film. People who do short films versus people who do feature films, those are two totally different things. And a lot of people who do short films well fail when it comes to doing feature films.
Is it because of confidence? Lack
say
of
what?
confidence. Is it because of lack of confidence?
See, I don't think it's lack of confidence. I just think sometimes people are just good at what they do. That's just what.
Confidence comes with practice.
Go ahead, Sean.
Confidence
Well,
comes with.
before Sean goes, I want to ask a caveat question that he might be able to answer too. So I had a similar discussion with a group of friends of mine, and I was asking, is it possible for what you would call like a beta male, like one who, you know, whatever your definition of beta male is, but is it possible for a beta male to also like take the lead in how the relationship goes? In terms like if he's the type of person to not really like be boisterous when it comes to certain decisions in the relationship, but yet let him lead, if that makes sense. Does that question make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I'm gonna let Sean talk to it first since he's been waiting patiently.
Natalie, I understand your question. Could y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Natalie, I understand your question. I think, you know, personally, I think we need to get rid of the alpha, beta role, yada, yada, yada. God defined roles for men and God defined roles for women. So a person, they can, you know, whether they're aggressive in pursuing somebody or taking charge of the household, of all of that other stuff. I mean, if that's what we're using to define the alpha male and the beta male, and I mean, I just can't get with that analogy of it. So this alpha beta thing, personally, I think we should just, you know, use the roles that God has defined in Scripture as to what the man's responsibility is, and what the woman's responsibility is. You know, just because, I mean, God said men is head of the household, right? So if the woman wants to make some decisions or whatever, I mean, I'm okay with it. Does it make me the beta male? No. I mean, you know, I'm not a beta, you know, my personality test says that I'm an alpha male, but I will take a step back on any given day, because, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know, so I would rather let somebody else do that responsibility. That way I don't have to worry about it. Does it make me beta? No, not at all. But in response to what you talked about earlier about confidence, I totally agree with you. But I do also know that confidence comes with practice. When we first had kids, we didn't think we were going to be good parents. We didn't have any confidence in it. But as time went on, we got confidence. So confidence comes with practice. That's just the bottom line. So men need to practice just going out saying hello to women. In fact, I finally figured out the title of the workshop that I'm going to do for the men, and it's called He Had Me at Hello. Of course, we all know where I got that title from. Because the bottom line is the men need to take initiative to meet women if you want to meet the person that you want to marry. That's just the bottom line. Women need to take initiative too. You know, you guys need to smile and be friendly and all of this other stuff. I usually don't speak to the women. I usually speak to the men. But the bottom line is that if we want our situations to change, we got to be willing to do some things different than what we've been doing. You've heard me say that over and over again. Staying in the house is not going to work. You know, Jay did a great job with the presentation, and we can go on forever in that thing. But I'm always talking about it really starts in the person's heart. Like Jay said, he can go into a room and figure out who would be good in the relationship and who wouldn't. I can too, because I am looking at the person's heart, and I can tell if they're a nice person or if they're a not nice person. You know, if you mean and grumpy and whatever, of course, you know, it's going to be more difficult for guys to approach you, and we're going to see that. You know, if you're not open, if you're just kind of closed off, yeah, it's going to be more difficult for guys to approach you. So one of the first things that us as men need to do is we need to open up our hearts. You know, the Bible says we live no longer for ourselves. So we need to be willing to meet the needs or meet the person where they're at. So we can't be thinking about ourselves when we're going out to meet women. My goal is always to motivate, inspire, and encourage. It's not to go out on a date. It's not to kind of hook up with you. You know, it's not what I've had great conversations with women and just walked away, leaving them puzzled as to how come he didn't ask for my number, because that's not what I was there for. You know, my goal is just to leave you a little bit better off than when we met. That's it. You know, and I saw that we weren't going to be friends, so why even go there? You know, so we need to get practice in saying hello to women, number one, and just having that initial conversation, because that's where it all starts. If we can get that right, at least we'll be a heck of a lot closer than we are. You know, I mean, I talk about New York a lot, being that I am from New York, you know, and Jay talked about all of those men who, you know, it's easy for us because New Yorkers are very aggressive. So, you know, as soon as you get off the plane, if you halfway decent, we're going to step to you, bottom line. But the men that are stepping to these women, they usually got about 4 or 5 on the side that they're stepping to too. You know, but the guy that's shy, that kind of sits there, you know, like, oh, she's cute, but then don't take any initiative, you know, they're missing out. You know, we had a term for them in New York. We call them poop putts. This poop putt brother, meaning that he's just sitting there like a lump on a log instead of taking control of his own life and go after what he wants. That's what we're talking about in CSC. The men need to take control and go after what they want. You know, but it's the same with the women. Y'all need to take control and y'all do it on your jobs in a minute. Y'all go after the job, you know, but are we willing to just step out of our comfort zone and just start saying hello to women? If we go in without expectations, it doesn't matter what happened, we will not be disappointed. But we need to get the practice in so we can build up the confidence so that when we meet women like Natalie who want men who are confident, it'll be an easy transition. So, you know, like I said, I can go on with this, you know, forever, but I'm not going to. My encouragement to the men is to really just start saying hello to these women. You know, CSC in New York has events. We all have events. And my encouragement to the women is just to be open for a relationship. You know, men will DM you. Figure out where they're at before you know, turn them down. You know, they'll DM you in the chat. They'll reach out. You know, if you know, I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and I was saying how if I was going to Cincinnati, and you know, I don't know nobody in Cincinnati, I would look onto the meetup, see who's in Cincinnati that's part of CSC, and be like, hey, well, you know what? I'm going to be in Cincinnati for a week on business. Would you like to, you know, have lunch in a public place? You know, I would do that. 1, because I'm single. 2, because I'm not in a committed relationship. But if women aren't open to that, then, you know, what's the point? I might as well, you know, I mean, who knows what'll happen? You may just end up with a very good friend. You know, this is a true story. This is many, many years ago. I had just broke up with this woman that I was dating. I was depressed for about a month. And there was a Christmas party coming up. I decided to go to a Christmas party and just go meet all the women that I can, just for practice. And I did. I wasn't trying to hook up with any one of them. I just wanted to go out and say hello and just to practice having great conversations. Anyway, one of the women that I met that night, we've been friends for over 10 years. Never had a sexual relationship, never had a physical relationship. It's been over 10 years. Based on me just going out, just saying hello, just practicing. You know, so men, I would encourage you guys to just go out. You know, it doesn't matter if you want to hook up with the person or not, just start saying hello to women in the supermarket, to women, you know, in Home Depot, places like that. Just, as you walk by, just look, smile, and say hello and see where that gets you. You'll be surprised at the smiles you get back. You'll be surprised at how many people say hello back. You'll be surprised at how many conversations just get started from there. But anyway, that's all I got. I got a lot more, but I've been talking too much. So I'm done, y'all.
That was good. That was good, Sean. I knew you would have the answers because I think you said it a little bit better, that I would have said it. Because that's the whole thing. And again, back to your point, Natalie, that I was making. I think when it comes to the confidence of being with a man, it doesn't. It's like Sean said, he has to practice. And people that know my story know straight up that what is my story? Well, I went to college. I met my ex-wife literally at my, I think my first class. That's where I met her. She sat right behind me. We argued over everything in English class. Right afterwards was lunch. So we would almost always go to lunch together. And before you know it, we were an item. So I never had to learn the skills that Sean has. Does it mean that I'm a bad guy? No, I was married to her for 18 years. I have done feature films that you guys can watch. I'm over CSC. So am I confident? Hell yeah, I'm confident. I'm extremely confident in the things that I'm practiced in. But when it comes to women, I'm not practiced in that. That's just the bottom line. So when women say, well, I'm looking for this socially confident man, and then they decide to pass me up, they're actually passing up a really great guy that just doesn't know how to initially approach. Because once I start in a conversation, I'm good. So Sean has been teaching me, literally, we've gone out together and had those conversations, and then I've watched the master, do his work, and then trying to figure out exactly. But what he's saying is exactly to, I think, the point I'm trying to say. But I'm also letting you know, okay, if you say somebody like, and like I say, I'll use myself as an example. So I've gotten much better over the last 2 years. So I'm much better now than what I was in the very beginning. But during that time, if there was a woman that did take that chance and we did sync up and we did have that same future, she would have snatched me up without ever having me to worry about any of that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if I wasn't Christian, I would definitely get me a roster. I ain't gonna lie about it, because why? Why would I care? I'm just gonna be real with you. Okay, why have one woman when I can have 5? Once I understand the way women work, I just simply do what it takes to win you guys over. So you gotta think like that. You gotta think what is in the mindset of some of these guys that you guys are running into. And some of their mindset is like that. Like I say, if I had already had my kids, and I have friends like this who already have their children, they're done, they've gotten vasectomies or whatever it is, and they're in their 40s and they're out here running game, very comfortable with women. They're not Christian, they don't care. They'll tell a woman that they're Christian, they'll tell a woman this, that, and the third. They tell a woman exactly what she wants to hear, and they got 4 or 5 of them, they running them. That's just what they do. And then women get mad about it. So that's all, I'm saying on that. So you got both sides of the fence, but I do agree with Sean, and that's why I'm working on myself and I'm getting better. Come on, Natalie, I see your hand still up.
So I do appreciate Sean's comment about like the practicing that part, because that definitely makes sense. Practicing in anything makes the person better. But another thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that it's been said plenty of times in this group, but also definitely on social media, if you've been on there a lot, where women nowadays should like shoot their shot, or like, if they see a guy, don't be afraid. Kind of like what we're saying now for guys to do and do the approach, that women should do the same thing. But then there's also another thing being said about how women should be more feminine or soft, or be submissive. And I feel like those are really conflicting messages because it's opposite sides of the spectrum of what a woman's supposed to be. And I'm like, if the woman is the one who does the approaching, isn't that setting the tone for the rest of the relationship? Because I'm like, if I had to approach you and step out of my femininity to, tell you that I'm interested or say, hey, like we should talk, I feel like that sets its precedence, like for how the relationship or the rest of the relationship is supposed to go. And I feel like that's off centered or off kilter because I'm just like, am I supposed to also steer the conversation? Like at what point does it end for the man to step up and then take that dominant role in the relationship?
Okay, well, I mean, I think one of the issues, I actually love that question. That's actually a really great question. I think one of the things that we need to do before we dive too deep into it, though, is we need to always remember that you have different strokes for different folks. I think that's always the bad side of quote unquote advice or when people are having conversation, because you do need to remember that for some women that are just naturally aggressive and that is their life and that's who they want to be, they need to be 100% okay with a guy who's a little bit more submissive, who's a little bit more quote unquote beta, and just be okay with it. I've said it in this group, even though I do lean toward women being in their femininity, I have told women also, if you want to be that, if you want to be aggressive, just be aggressive and just be okay with it. But make sure that you're walking like Jesus would, because whoever is the leader is going to do the most work. And you need to be okay with that. And you need to be appreciative of the person that you're with. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is it's a totally different thing, because I know for most of the part in this group, we do not necessarily encourage women to approach. We encourage women to smile, to say hello. That is not approaching. If I walk past pretty much anybody, I'm from the South, so I naturally say hello. I walk around when I go running at my park, I'm saying hello to everybody as I pass them by. And it's funny to me how some people won't even make eye contact with me. But the bottom line is I'm generally saying hello to everybody. So all I encourage people to do, and like we talk about with women, is just position yourself, which is smile, say hello, be friendly. If you see a guy at a party, you can get closer to him, but I've never said ask for a phone number. In fact, I'm usually saying don't do that. I'm usually telling women to you don't have to force the conversation or anything like that. So, but you can smile, you can make eye contact, you can say hello. I think those are 3 really easy things to do that men who are decently masculine, if they are interested in you, will make a move on those things. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Sean, did you have something you want to add to that?
No, not really. I just hollered to Natalie in the chat.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
I agree.
You just don't want to be in a position to where you're constantly pulling somebody along. And that goes for men and women. You don't want to be pulling a guy and be like, oh, come on, you got to do this, you got to be this, and vice versa, because that would set the tone. The guy needs to step up and he needs to lead. But leading means leading in love. That's what leading means. I keep constantly saying Christ loved us enough to where he died for us. He gave up everything that he was to come here so that he can sacrifice himself so that we can be the best that we can be for God. And as men, we need to be willing to sacrifice who we are to become what the woman needs or what the family needs, and yada, yada, yada. So for me, like I was having a conversation with one of the sisters in the group this week, and I was saying how everybody knows that I'm a type, I'm a 1 when it comes to the Enneagram. So, I've got a set of rules. You break my rules, you cut off, that's it, that's all, if you break any of my rules. I had to be flexible in those rules. Like I had to get rid of the rules. So now if somebody had broke one of my rules, I had to understand the person and why they broke the rule and then kind of meet them where they are. And I just got a whole bunch of work that I have to do. But the point is that I have to change to become what the person needs. So we just gotta be willing to do that. For the men, these women, if they need somebody to come over and say hello, then we need to go over and say hello. No more excuses about I'm an introvert or that's not what I'm used to. No, because if it was working for us, we wouldn't be a part of this group. But anyway, I can go on and on and on and on. I don't know what's up with me today, but that's all I got.
And you're like I said, you're a little bit more knowledgeable about some of the stuff we're talking about right now. So
that's because I'm working on the workshop. That's why I'm putting the workshop together. That's why it's all in my head, and I'm real passionate and emotional about this stuff right now.
Oh, that's good. I mean, but like I said, I'm down with the practice. So like I said, I'm learning from the master. Come on, Kristen.
Hey, good morning. So I want to kind of circle back around to Natalie, to your point. Well, as we know, first of all, we can't listen to everything on social media. It's so many people with podcasts and TikTok videos and people claiming to be relationship experts. So, as we know, we have to take things with a grain of salt. Be careful what we do allow into our ears and our spirits and our minds. But also to your point, I don't believe if you quote unquote shoot your shot, it sets the tone for the relationship. Prime example, my uncle's a pastor, and my aunt, God rest her soul, she passed away from breast cancer 3 years ago, but she reached out to him. She sent him a text simply, hey, are you dating anyone? 8 months later, they were married. It didn't negate the fact of her being aggressive, of her being feminine or not, because she's a very chill type woman. She's not aggressive. She's not too much in the sense of she didn't have a problem submitting to my uncle. He still, was head over the household. He still made most of the decisions, but they also worked as a team. So I don't think if you're, if you see something you want, you go after it. My god sister, prime example too. She met her husband at work. She made like a little side comment to him, married 20 plus years. So I don't think it'll set the tone if you decide to quote unquote take your shot that, well, I'm going to be the more aggressive in the relationship. My husband is not going to be the head of the household. No, it's just sometimes you can't be afraid to just say, hey, what's up? You dating anybody? Okay, let's go on a date, whatever the case may be, because you never know, that could be your husband. It could be your wife. Now, the problem is like, we shouldn't be, chasing after the man and trying to propose to the man. Like, I disagree with that because he that finds a wife finds a good thing. But I don't think it's anything wrong in taking an approach or shooting a DM or sending a text message like my aunt did and said, hey, are you dating anyone? And then, like I said, 8 months later, they were married and were married, up until she passed away from breast cancer. So, don't be afraid.
Thank you, Kristen. See, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Kristen. No, I mean, because like I said, a lot of ways that was how I got married. I know a lot of people in my church, that's how they got married. The woman said something, she smiled at him. One lady, she laughs because, when she was in the grocery store, she never lifted a finger above, like if her hand went above her head to reach anything, she was asking a cute guy on the aisle to get it for her. That was her ways to meet men. And she would just be like, oh, can you get this for me? Can you get this for me? And the next thing you know, she would be talking to the guy. But she just kept herself to be very open. And that's one of the things that helped her. Okay, somebody had their hand up. Why do you put it down?
It was Ron. Ron, where you at, Ron?
Ron, okay, yeah, Ron. Yeah, come on, Ron. Let's listen to the man. Yeah. Yeah, Ron. There he is.
Okay. Well, I was gonna just make a few notes here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got a little voice on you too.
All right. I don't mean to blow anybody's speakers out, but a couple of things here. First of all, I came in late on the meeting because maybe about 10 minutes before it was starting, I decided to put on some headphones and lay down for a second. Turned out to be an hour and 10 minutes later. So that's why I joined at 12. So excuse me if I didn't hear everything. But I just want to touch on a couple of things that was mentioned. earlier it was mentioned that, men, they may have 4 or 5 on the side. I just want to say that nowadays women have the same thing. So people out in the dating world, you have men and women with people on the side. Unfortunately, Atlanta was voted as one of the most unfaithful cities. It was on, I think, Fox News that we showed up number 9 on one of the most unfaithful cities. So that says a lot out here about the dating market. You have to really be careful and really stay prayed up. Another thing about approaching women, I agree with that. Men should definitely approach women, but the other side of that coin is women have to make themselves approachable. And you make yourself approachable by just how you look, your demeanor. If a man approaches you and you're not interested, hey, is a way you could turn him down. Now, on the other side of that coin is some men who are a little bit too aggressive. They don't know how to take no for an answer. They don't know how to read that a woman is just not interested. So you also have to balance that act as well. 1, being approachable, and 2, knowing how to kind of navigate turning down a man who appears not to know how to take no. I think the final thing I want to touch on is relationships in general. The man is, just from my perspective, a man that is being led by Christ and being in just living a Christ-centered life. He's supposed to be the head of the family. With that comes a lot of responsibility, and that responsibility is to be the protector, to be the provider, to basically set the foundation for safety and for provision for the family. A lot of fellas don't like when I say this, but the state of where we are, it rests on the man a lot. When men step back into our role as men that God called us to be, our women are going to stand by our side. They're going to fall in line. We can be on YouTube having all of these chats back and forth saying, oh, we're going to travel overseas for women because American women are this, Black women are that, so forth and so on. You know what? When it comes down to it, if we are pointing fingers at anybody, it should be ourselves as men, because we are the leaders. When from the beginning of time, God told us we are to lead. If we don't lead, our woman is going to find somebody else who's going to lead or try to overtake our role as the leaders. It comes back to us. That is my opinion. I know it probably contrasts with quite a few men out here and what they believe. But to me, once we step back and we take our role as men and masculine men and leaders, we take that role seriously, our women will see it. Even if our women come at us aggressive and want to challenge us, you stand on your mountain, you stand on Christ, you stand on your role, you stand in your role, and you stand on what you're supposed to be, which is a man. If it's not that woman, the right woman is going to come along who connects with you, who bonds with you, and you'll be able to have that family structure that Christ meant for you. Men, we have to stand as men, be masculine. And again, when our women see that, they will come back by our side and we'll be able to lead and they'll follow. And they'll work with us the way they need to. That's my comment.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. In fact, all the women are loving you in the chat. And I'll be honest with you, dude, that's what we talk about over here all the time. So you ain't got to worry about that. I think that's why we don't do well on YouTube. Because we're unpopular in what we have to say about a lot of things. Because, we actually were talking about that at the beginning of the year. Because I know some people are newer to the group, but the 3 things that men need to be looking to do and that hurt them if they're not doing them, this is at the core level of what women are looking for, is protection, provision, and leadership. Those are the 3 things that women are looking for at the core. It doesn't matter if you like football, if you like art, if you like cutting trees outside. If you don't have those 3 things at your core, and a woman doesn't feel strong that she can sit upon that, then there's going to be some issues, going on with, with that situation. So Ron, you were dead on the money, my friend, and you came in, all the ladies, now they're like, ooh, Ron, ooh, I might have to holler at Ron. Ron is standing on his. All right, so, if you get some DMs, women just saying hello, what's up, or I like that color shirt. You know where that come from. Come on, Luz. I think that's Luz.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a quick question. Scenario, and this would be for the fellas just to help me to understand. So say there's a meetup, you go out to the event and it's a great time, great vibe with everyone. Great vibe with everyone. So I noticed a gentleman, and it was just an observation. I wasn't necessarily focused on that person, but he said female that was there for their phone number or gave his phone number, one or the other. So, the night went on, but a few days later, the same gentleman DM'd me. So, I didn't think anything of it until a situation happened. But the first question, and I have another, so before you guys begin to answer that, is, was there more interest in the person that he may have been more direct with? And not necessarily me being the fact that he had to DM me and he couldn't just ask for it directly? Or was there a bit of intimidation and you had to just message, DM me and you couldn't, I don't know, find the confidence to ask? So that's the first question. The second is, as conversations begin in the DMs, kind of communicating back and forth just a little bit. The gentleman shared his phone number and said, oh, maybe we can, reach out to each other or exchange phone numbers. But there was something else in the message. And I was at work, so I kind of quickly just responded to his message. I didn't necessarily address the phone number part, like, okay, I'll call you later. I just kind of said, oh, well, a comment based on his message. And then I went back to work. So later on, I realized that a few hours had passed and I got a message back saying, oh, well, just kind of like, okay, well, just disregard the phone number and we can continue to get to know each other, through the DMs and through events. So I was kind of taken aback and I kind of shared that, like, where did that come from? And his response was, oh, I felt like I was, being disrespectful or forceful. So it kind of turned me off in a sense, because I didn't have a problem reaching out to him. And I actually was when I got off of work, but it was kind of a turnoff after that. Like, you give me your phone number, then you said disregard it. And like, we still communicate in DMs now, but it's kind of like, I don't know, is it because I didn't respond with I'll call you later? Or, it's kind of like wishy-washy to kind of get, I'm trying to understand. And I haven't called. And if anyone wants to know why I haven't called, it's just because I'm trying to still feel him out, because even though I was going to call when he first gave me the phone number, later on that day when I got off of work, it kind of, like I said, was a turn off with the whole, okay, well, I'll just get to know you through the app. And I felt like I was being disrespectful. And I'm like, but I'm giving you conversation, so I'm showing some type of interest, and even as he recommended a place for me to visit around my neighborhood. And I said, okay, well, maybe you can, maybe you can come and give me some pointers, because it was a shooting range. So, I'm being feminine. I'm throwing, I'm sending subtle messages to him, but it's like, I don't want to do too much, especially because, we're in a group. It's about meeting people. But I don't want to, like the person mentioned earlier, be the one to continue to reach out, or, I don't want to say, hey man, let's go meet up, especially after you say disregard your phone number, So that's it. Just kind of wanted some feedback on that.
John, did you want to answer that?
Yeah, because I'm hearing a lot about guys that are DMing a lot of the women in the group, and I'm hearing a lot of the women responses to the guy that DMs. In response to Love's question, if you've seen him like asking other women for their phone numbers, and then now he's reaching, trying to holler at you, just be honest with the guy and just tell him, look, well, I saw you reaching out to these women. What am I? The cancellation prize? Or, just be honest. I will encourage everybody in this group really just to be honest and ask the tough questions. We're adults. We're all adults. You might find that he may be turned out he didn't like those people. And then now he decided to reach out to you. But, we talked about this again early in the year. You getting into a relationship with another woman, or it's none of nobody's business. It's between y'all two. Okay. Nobody needs to know. So for the guys, y'all need to be discreet. Bottom line, private DMs, not public. If you want somebody's number, walk them to their car. But it's that way you won't get into a situation like Luz. That way, if it doesn't work out for you with that person, you're not considered a dog in the group and your name is Mud. Because we don't know what happened. I know a couple of people that have dated in a group and it didn't work out. Their name's not Mud in the group because they kept their dating out, even though they met in Christian Singles, they kept their dating relationship outside of Christian Singles. So now these people are welcome to continue to date in the group because they're both nice people. They're both great people. It just didn't work out for them. We got to remember, we can only pick one out of the tens of thousands. That's it. Just one, so we can get up there with those other cities and not be the most cheating city in America, as Ron said. But for the men and women, keep things private. It's none of nobody's business about your dating relationships. We want you to get hooked up. We want you to DM, but we want you to do it privately. So, that's all. And if somebody is doing it publicly and you see it and then they reach out to you, call them out. It's okay. If y'all see me doing something, call me out. You might find that actually my heart was in the right place and I didn't mean what you probably thought I meant, because we're all judging experiences based on our past. So because of past relationships, you may be thinking this, but my past may be different from your past. So I may be thinking something else, but you won't know until you call me out. So call a person out. We're adults, y'all. Come on. But that's it. Come on, Allie.
So with adulting, and since we're talking about adulting and dating, I think it's key to make sure that before we're dating, that we have recovered from our past hurts. Because what the woman Lex just described, I have encountered several times. Like I was either in interaction with a guy and then lost interest some way along the way, or immediately I was not interested, so I made it clear. And because I'm a person who likes to communicate and make sure that there's no gray area in between us, and I really honestly, even though it's been done to me, I don't like the whole ghosting thing, especially like if you and I both put effort into communicating with each other and share things with another. So what I say that because when I start talking with a guy, or even again, we didn't have much of a communication, I will put the efforts into saying, you know what, honestly, this is not working for me. Maybe, talking right now is not the best thing. We can be friends, or I hope you just meet the next best person. The last time I did that, and because I felt like the guy was putting effort, but I just wasn't feeling it anymore, I got called all kind of B's, all kinds of, oh, you ain't this, you ain't that, you ain't hot anyway. Like, I feel like, I don't know what's going on with the world, but if we can't even be honest with each other and verbalize, hey, like, I understand we put effort into being cool, but I'm not interested anymore. That really speaks to somebody that's really hurt, really broken. And I feel like before you entertain someone, or before you put yourself out there where you're finding that, okay, you've been hurt before, like, just don't do it to yourself, because you just keep opening the wound again. Like every time, if you can't face rejection, and as men and women, we've all been rejected by something. If it was a man, a job, or whatever it was, like, are you going to curse out everybody just because you didn't get your way? Like, that is madness to me. And I don't understand, like, why people continue to date if they are hurt. Like, that's opening the womb. I feel like you got to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally, so that when someone rejects you or you feel rejected, it doesn't hurt as bad. So you can build up the stamina to keep going, because what are you going to do? Are you going to keep getting hurt and keep getting cursed out and thinking that your life is going to improve by that? I don't know. It's just strange to me because, like I said, it's happened to me before several times. And and I guess this is why people ghost each other, because why put yourself through this? Why be the receiving person to get cursed out when I'm just trying to be nice and be honest with you? Like, that's very discouraging.
That was mic drop right there, boy. Mic drop. No, but I mean, I'm with you, Natalie. I think there are a lot of hurt people. That's why I was saying we could talk about that as well, because I think that there are a lot of hurt people, and figuring out how to avoid them, is very important. But I definitely think when people start yelling and screaming and cussing you out, and you ain't this and you ain't that, then definitely they are somebody that's hurt. And you just have to leave them alone and move on to the next person. And yeah, I wish people would not do it. I must admit, I did it a little bit, dated while I was hurt, but I didn't cuss anybody out. I just have a little bit more sense than that. But I'll admit, I did do it for a while. I didn't even know I was hurt because I'm learning a lot more about myself. God has had to teach me. But again, that's Ron's back with more knowledge. Come on, brother.
No, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said and what Natalie said as well. And she definitely had a mic drop moment there. There may be a few circumstances where you may need to ghost, and that's especially if you run into somebody with some clinical emotional issues, where if you continue to entertain that person, it may affect you. So in those situations, it may be for your safety and your well-being to ghost. But other than that, I agree with her. Ghosting it's best to have a conversation and just say, hey, this is not going to work out. But if you're dealing with somebody who's clinical, and that's a different beast, you may have to disappear. And that's all I want to say.
See, the only thing I think about ghosting is I say when you're ghosting the person. If we just met and we've had 2 conversations, we've never met in person, maybe we met on the app, or maybe we met in person, but then, it was like at the grocery store, get the number, we had one conversation on the phone, maybe text for a day, and then there's the ghosting. See, that doesn't bother me. That seems normal. The person's just showing I'm just not interested. But when you've been talking steadily for several weeks, you've gone out one time, all that, then you ghost. I do think that's a little weird. But that's just me. That's my personal take. So yeah, so I'm quick that, after, like I say, 2 conversations, maybe a day of texting, and if I ain't feeling it, then I'll just ghost at that point. But again, I don't know you, so we haven't really built up anything. That's kind of how I see that. But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Y'all quiet today. Y'all gonna make me calling y'all. Tim, you have something to say? Is that what you're doing? Go ahead.
Yeah. I was thinking about, we were in a group a while back, a support group, a men's support group, and they were talking about triggers, and it was very interesting about what they were saying. This one guy said he went out on a date with this girl, and he just loves and he just wild about wrestling. He just loves wrestling. His whole life is wrestling. Well, this girl was in love with this guy before, and he liked wrestling. So it just so happened he had nothing to do with that. He just likes wrestling, and the other one liked wrestling. Well, everything was going right through dinner, and then he started mentioning what kind of sports you like, and she said tennis, and I like, skiing and all that. He said, oh man, I love wrestling. She went into freaked out. She went into attack mode. Oh, wrestling. Nope. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And it was nothing to do with him, but she just started getting very uncomfortable. And he said, what's the deal? What did I say? Well, I'm just making me uncomfortable. I don't like it. It's bringing me back memories of, you just triggered me, and poor guy didn't know. So it's like we said, we got to heal first. We got to deal with our issues. and deal with our, our triggers, and don't start assuming, this guy was probably a great guy. He just happened to like wrestling. So I think we have to keep those triggers in check, don't we?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. And I think Janetta has more she wants to say. Yeah, you. You can unmute. There you go.
Okay. No, I was just listening intently and taking notes of what's going on in relation to what Natalie and Ron was saying about having to, hurting people. I just, not real fresh, but had to make the decision that someone was where they need to be spiritually. They only put up what I said I wanted, but they really not there. And then they self-medicate with basically alcohol and cigarettes, and it's hurting their own health. So when my young son told me, oh, well, he's not young, he's 19, said, Mom, he's just looking for a death buddy. And I'm like, what is that? Well, sometimes when people, live out what they want to do when they're young and their body's all broke down and they need somebody to take care of them until they die. I'm like, a caregiver, really? Because he can't do, things that we're not even that old, but the treatment of his own health and body just kind of put him in a position of, oh, I need a woman, I need a wife. And all the hurt and unforgiveness that he's still holding on to from his past, and the self-medication just bring out anger and mean character when he don't have his way, real narcissistic type personality. So I was like, yeah, I was like, 1, 2, 3, strikes you out. And just had to say what I said and why and what the situation was that I didn't feel safe. And then he's the type person put you on that crazy cycle. Flowers, talk you back. And so I had to block, I had to shut down, I had to ghost just to keep the conversation out of my ear and not to get back on that emotional roller coaster. So not to be mean or hard or cold-hearted with anybody, but when they're stuck and they don't want to change and they just want to bring you down, you have to protect yourself and put those boundaries up. So that's what I had to do.
No, I'm 100% with you on that. 100% with you on that. So everybody, y'all heard her. She was just talking about, make sure you're protecting yourself, and because there's crazy people out here. Also, you kind of got me thinking about love bombing. And I'm not sure how many people know about love bombing, and it doesn't work on everybody, but there are personalities that really love to get gifts and attention or whatever it is. And so you'll have men that will find out what your love language is, and or women, and they will love bomb you by constantly giving you your love language. And it just ups your emotion and your attachment to that person. And some people are very evil with it. They will remove it after a certain amount of time in order to try to control you. So you have to be very careful with people that kind of have a love bomb type of energy about them. And it's one of the reasons why I encourage certain people who are very giving. We talked about that earlier, and Donna knows I'm talking about her. Because she's the type of person, Natalie as well, because me and Natalie have had this conversation, where if you know that you tend to be a giver, you need to make sure that when you first go into a relationship, you might need to hold back some of your giving in the very beginning. In fact, the very last person I dated, I wanted to give her some stuff so bad, because I am like that too. I want to buy stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I just had to stop myself, from doing it, even a $5 gift, anything beyond dinner, I just wasn't going to buy. And it was because I can get caught up in that as well. And I need to make sure that this other person is willing, to come to the table and actually do, because unfortunately we do live in a broken world. And I'm going to be real, and I've kind of said this before, of this 50% of people out here who are single, I personally just don't, this is not God talking, this is me talking. I just don't believe that, I don't even know if 50% of that 50% are any good. To be honest with you, I think a lot of the single people out here, even some that are complaining left and right, we've had people to come into this group. I'm not going to say who these people were, but we've had people to come into this group and they will sit and they will complain to this group for 15, 20 minutes, and everybody's trying to tell them about why their thought pattern is wrong. and it'll go for, again, like I say, 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then at the end of it, you're just like, okay, that's one of those people that's out there and they're crazy. So, you know, you have to, you know, you got to think about that too. And I think that's one of the reasons why dating can be very difficult, is that we're not in this fertile market anymore. You know, we're in a market where, think about it, you go to the grocery store and let's say you're just trying to pick out tomatoes, but then every other tomato you pick up and you turn it around and it's rotten on the other side. And then sometimes you don't even know it's rotten until you get it home, and then you got to cut it open. You're like, well, dang, it's rotten. And if 50% of the tomatoes were rotten when you pick them, your brain starts to say, why the heck are you eating tomatoes? And then you get to the point where you're like, well, I don't want to date anymore, and I'm very frustrated at dating and all of this other kind of stuff, you know. But hey, you know, some people are single for a reason. So we do have to think about that as well. So who else can I pick on? Y'all better speak up before I pick on you. Okay, so we got two Shirleys. So we got a Shirley with an I and a Shirley with an E. So who wants to talk? Two Shirleys. Okay, which comes before? A, B, C, D, E comes before I. Come on, Shirley with an E. Say something.
This is Sherley, Shirley.
Yes, there you go.
I think this has been a great conversation. Everybody has made some really good points. I truly believe that this is a broken world. The Atlanta, many places is very broken. People are broken. They've gone through many situations they've experienced and they're hurt. And, you know, we all have to be very careful. I think that there are a lot of good people, although that 50% are bad, there are 50% that are good. And I think that, you know, when we're dating, we do have to be careful. We have to be careful because of our feelings, protecting ourselves, also being open as well to see who the people are, giving them a chance and an opportunity to show themselves. And as far as ghosting, you know, I think it's just great to just be honest and tell the person that it just didn't work out. That way, that percentage of people that are hurting, it can kind of give them enlightened on, you know, potentially what may have happened so that they can correct themselves, because we all need to work on ourselves. So, you know, I think once again, you know, it's a good percentage of people that are out here, men and women, that are good. And I love the thought when you open up and say, God doesn't want us to be by ourselves. I don't think he does, because he made Eve for Adam. So I don't think God wants us to be by ourselves. You know, we may choose to be by ourselves. And hey, sometimes if that's what's going to work best for us, then you have to decide what works best for you. For me, I'm looking to date, but you know, I'm not that person that is willing to just pick anyone or to allow anyone just to pick me. I'm very selective, and I try to be very careful who I entertain as far as on a dating level. So, but I am open to giving people, you know, not giving people a chance, but I'm open to giving the opportunity of those that of interest. And when you mention about in this group, you guys prefer women to smile and men to approach. I wanted to ask the question, what if women approached? What does that do? Is that something that, you know, you feel women shouldn't do? For what reason? Why shouldn't women approach in this group? Because as you mentioned, some men are shy. So maybe if a woman approaches, she's interested, maybe that can help the guy out. So Ron, I'll put that question back to you.
Wow, you put that back to
Oh,
you,
I'm sorry,
Ron.
not Ron, Jay, I'm sorry. Jay, I'll put that question back to you.
Give it to Ron.
Her mental right
No,
now, Ron.
no, I don't think Ron is gonna say that.
Ron. Ron. She's calling out to you. You're supposed to
Ron
drop in her
makes a really
DMs.
good
That's a
point.
subconscious slip.
Subconscious, dropping her DMs now, Ron. 'cause
Well,
she's
well, no, Jay.
No,
Ron had some very good points.
Yeah,
Ron had some very good points. So I think I think that what Jay, you mentioned about the group and women not approaching but smiling. So I wanted to ask you that question.
No, I was just saying there's always different strokes for different folks. So I always want to make sure that that is clear. Sean kind of brought up the Enneagram. We used to do the Enneagram. We don't do that anymore. But we recognize that there's different personalities. And so we do recognize there are women who will tend to be a little bit more aggressive. And those women, hey, if you want to reach out and talk to the dude, you do you. And then there are women who like to sit back and they like to be in their feminine. But what we're saying is more than anything else is that you need to at least smile. You need to be friendly. You need to, no matter what the situation is, whether you're extrovert or introvert, whether you're aggressive or you're laid back, you need, as women, you need to be friendly. That's it. You know, that's the big deal because a lot of women really aren't friendly, you know, and they walk around with their RBF, you know. If y'all don't know what an RBF is, y'all can Google it because it has a bad word for the B. You know, they walk around with that. They think that that's cool because it actually is popular. A lot of celebrities are doing it. That does not work in the dating market. That will keep you single unless you are stunningly beautiful. And so you know, the best thing to do is wear a smile and seem like you're happy. You know, that will definitely, you know, draw more men to you. But I have no problem with women, you know, shooting their shot. I have no problem with men shooting their shot. I do agree with Sean that a lot more men, including myself, needs to get better at shooting our shot to women. But I also think that women many times pass up on really great guys by not shooting their shot. So I think it's a balance. I truly do. I think it's a balance. And I've told people before, what is this group about? This group is not about saving your soul. This group is not your church. This group's purpose, you know, is to get you married by any quote unquote biblical means necessary. So I don't care if a man is walking down the aisle at Kroger and he is super fine and he don't have no ring on his finger and you put your foot out and trip him and he fall on that ground and y'all end up married. I don't care. I don't care what you have to do, to be honest with you, in order to find your person. I'm saying once y'all are married, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who made the first move. It doesn't matter who smiled first. It doesn't matter. All these things don't matter. And that's why we were talking about before with, you know, where Kristen was saying those women reached out and because they reached out, they got their man. And there's plenty of men out here who got the confidence to walk over to the woman and then they ended up in a marriage or a situation. But we started a lot of this because if a man is going to approach a woman, the man has to approach her in such a level of confidence, okay, that she does not feel weird by his presence. And that is the part that I was trying to talk about when Tim brought it up, because if a man goes in almost too needy to a woman, most women are not attracted to that. They're just not. And it's unfortunate because a lot of guys, like I said, use indifference in order to get women. And I'm gonna tell y'all a quick way to do it, to use indifference. And I'm just gonna be real with you, like I was saying with my picture. I understand if a woman is a 10, a 9, an 8, or whatever for most of America. Okay, I can look at a woman and tell whether or not she's beautiful. But there's a difference between knowing a woman is beautiful and that woman not only being beautiful, but being my type of beautiful. Does that make sense? Like I've told a lot of people, there are celebrity women that women will say, oh, well, this person's really attractive or this person's really attractive. And I'll look at that person. I'm like, yeah, they're attractive, but that's not me. You know, I would never want to talk to her. And then people might look at me crazy. But here's the whole thing. This is what a lot of people do, is that a lot of men will go after the woman who is stunningly beautiful, but that's not his type.
Jay, I agree with you. I totally agree with you with that. And I'm glad you mentioned that about beauty in women, because women are more than beautiful on the outside. The most beautiful woman that a man may see that has the appearance of beauty that I guess commercials make that to be, the woman that is less attractive, she can be the most beautiful person, you know, and I think you somewhat went there, where other women may be most attractive to others. It may not be what's attractive to you, but there are so many beautiful women that may not have that appearance that some TVs, because TV now show women that wasn't traditionally the beautiful Black woman. She's now the beautiful woman. And so I think, you know, once that approach is made and you've made your shot, shoot your shot to that woman, and you having those conversations, you can see the beauty in women, and it's more than just on the outside. We have beauty that are within, and it's not just that outside beauty, because those that are less attractive on the outside can be the most beautiful woman ever. So just want to make that comment.
No, I love that, but I also believe that every woman is beautiful. I know you guys have heard me say that, but I think the same thing about men. I think there are a lot of people who don't live up to their ultimate in attractiveness. I do think that, but I actually think everybody's attractive. If God can make every dog or 99.9% of dogs to be attractive, then he can doggone sure make humans. Same thing about birds. You know, how many ugly birds do we really see? You know, how many ugly cats do we really see? We don't see them because they really don't exist. We need to understand that we're really kind of breeds of people, and somebody might not necessarily be attracted to your breed, but that does not necessarily mean you're unattractive for your breed. Those are all very different things. Like, you know, Ethiopians look like Ethiopians. The Italians look like Italians. The South Africans look like South Africans, you know, depending upon which race we're talking about. They all look like they do. Even Americans, we have an American look, despite ourselves. So that is just how it is. So either, you like your look, and you're very comfortable with attracting people who look like you. But I think what happens many times is that we are attracted to people who don't look like us. And then we get upset when the person who doesn't look like us doesn't want to talk to us. So I always think that we have to double check ourselves, and I run into that where somebody, might work out, they go to the gym every day and now they've got muscles for days. And, somebody will approach them that doesn't work out at all. And now the person who doesn't work out at all is mad because, this person who works out every day won't talk to them. Well, the whole thing is people are attracted to what they do. Like we talked about, here, I'm attracted, people have been around me a long time. No, I'm really attracted to smart women. I have no problem with saying it. I like smart women. That's just what it is. So a woman who can keep up with me intellectually is a woman that I'm going to be attracted to. So if a woman sitting around talking about love and hip hop, or what was on the talk, you don't need to talk to me because we ain't gonna have nothing in common. But if you can start to go into the intellectual stuff, into the artistic stuff and stuff like that, then it's gonna work. And it's the same thing with like me and Sean. When me and Sean get together, we, because he likes to talk about that kind of stuff too, intellectual type of stuff. So me and him sync. And when we're coming back from a thing together or hanging out, a lot of times, that's kind of stuff we're talking about. So, it is what it is. So go ahead, Sean. And I just want to say this real quick.
Before I go, you got to pray us out. It's past 1, Joseph.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to do. Because I was going to say it is past 1. For everybody that wants to hang out, we do hang out. We're not really in a rush unless people just have some place to go and they want to drop off. So generally at this point, people just start dropping off at different times. But we're a talking bunch. So we continue to talk, and we know that, many times singles, ain't got much to do on a Saturday and really want to, have a little adult stimulation. So I'm going to pray us out, and then for whoever wants to leave can drop. And I think Deanna has something she wants to say. I'm just messing with her. But Lord God of heaven, we just thank you and give you praise, Father. I thank you for just moving upon this group as always, as you do. I thank you for leading our conversation. I ask that you would touch each and every last person, that you would be with them, that you would help them, guide them, that you would understand, Lord God, that they are in a mode right now of shift, because you are shifting, Lord, and you are doing bigger and better things, Lord God, right now for them on their behalf. So they need to take this time over the next months, weeks, year, whatever it is. We don't know your defined time, but we just encourage them, or I encourage them, Lord God, to get out of their house, to get out, to get to some places, to meet people, to talk to people, to not be so quick to throw people away, and just have their heart ready for you. And we just thank you, honor you, we praise you. I ask that you would be with them, guide them, strengthen them, protect them as they're in their going and in their coming. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Actually, three things. One, for you guys that don't know, I'm just going to give you a little bit of preamble. We have what we call a Friendsgiving event, and it's an event where the men cater to the women for the entire night. We cook for you, we serve you drinks, we walk you to your car. It was just an amazing event. If you don't know, ask Diana. I believe she was there last year. Barbara was there last year, but it's a wonderful event. So Ron, get ready if you're in Atlanta. Two, I always, I say things in a joking way, but it's really like the truth. Like, you always hear me joking around, like I already know that my wife is in CSC. I don't know if it's CSC New York, Alabama, or Atlanta, I don't know. And the reason why I say that is because this is where I spend all my time. I got 2 computer screens going in the background, and then after we get off this call, I'm going to be working on a website today, tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be done by tomorrow, because this is where I spend all my time. So, it's only natural that I'm going to meet somebody here that's the bomb, and we're going to end up in a relationship. I've tried the dating apps, and I've tried dating people outside of the group when I first came around, and those things didn't work. I know people that have dated people outside the group, and those things that are part of this group, and I'm talking about the men that have dated people outside of the group, and it didn't kind of work out or whatever. I think we take for granted what we have in this group. Like I know Natalie, I know Donna, I know Diana, Barb, Angelique. Let me see who's on the next page that I know. But I know you guys, and the bottom line is, like, y'all are great women. It's no reason for me to go anywhere else, when anything I can possibly want is right here in the group. We've got all shapes, all sizes, all personalities, all makes, all models of people who love God right here. Why do I need to go anywhere else? So I know for me that CSC is kind of like a safe space for me to come in and get to know people and everything else. Plus, if there's somebody doing something wrong, or if there's some things I'm not seeing, like there's this one person that I did date. She wasn't in a group, but somebody in the group kind of pointed out to me some things, some red flags that was going on in the group. So we've got people in the group that we help each other, but we're like, I don't think we really understand just how good we got it, especially the men. You can be an introvert, come to an event, somebody's going to say something to you because everybody's talking to each other, and there you have it. You never know what's going to happen. If a woman came over to me, like there was an incident in the group where a woman was flirting with me. I didn't realize she was flirting with me, but Joseph had told me, I'm flattered. If you holler at me, I'm flattered, because I would much rather be with somebody that actually wants to be with me than to have to convince somebody why I'm the bomb and why you should be with me. So if you already signed off on the fact that you like me, then we're good. and I'm flattered because I know, according to Christ and sin, that I'm unworthy. So I think so much we've really got to kind of change our perspective on how we're looking at where we're going to go in our lives, as opposed to finding the person that we want to be with. We can't do it the world's way. The world's getting worse and worse and worse. I know that, I know it's in the world dating, I've had horrible experiences. But because of those horrible experiences, I'm not going to go, well, all women are this. Bottom line. And it's because I have too much experience with people in the group that just kills that idea that all women are this. I can't say all women are bad when you got people like Don and Diana and Barb in here that have great hearts, always show love. You got Natalie in here. Natalie's the bomb. Natalie will always be honest with you, but their hearts are in the right place. So, so we gotta trust God a little bit more and not get so caught up in the atrocities that the world is doing, because the world is going to hell in a handbasket. It's getting worse out there. Here we got a safe space. Let's keep it safe. Let's keep it going, and then we can definitely find what we're looking for here in the group. And I'm only speaking for the men. And we can definitely find the person that we're looking for here in the group. Yada yada yada. So, I just wanted. There was something else that I wanted to touch on too. I think about the crazy people and the ghosting, but I don't remember. So I am going to turn it back over to, I think Joseph called on Diana to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say before you said it, remember Diana crazy. So you're talking about all the good women, she's a little crazy.
Diana is funny as hell. That's why she's always laughing every time she comes out to one of our events. But Diana, tell them about the Friendsgiving.
Can you unmute, or you just, okay, I'm gonna ask to unmute. Maybe she is not in a place where she can talk. But while she is trying to get to a place where she can talk, oh, thank you, Val. We appreciate it. I wanted to talk about, we always talk about you guys dating in CSC, and we have no problem with that. But I encourage you to go read the rules and regulations of what we encourage if you're going to date in CSC, and it is in the description of whichever CSC you joined, whether you're in Atlanta, whether you're in New York, or you're in East Alabama. We encourage you to hang out as much as you can, not to rush into things. And again, I ain't stupid. Okay, I know y'all Christian, but I know everybody gets itches. And y'all get itchy. And y'all want y'all's little itching scratched. Okay, and if you scratch too early, it can lead to emotions. And if you get your emotions all in it, okay, then you're not, and it doesn't work out, then you're not gonna want to come back to the group, and you're gonna feel embarrassed and all this other kind of stuff. And then you're gonna be like, well, over there in CSC, they just blah, blah, blah. No. You're an adult. Okay, we give you warnings for a reason. Okay, we encourage you to keep yourself to yourself as best as possible. But I also know y'all grown. Okay, so I'm just going to say, yes, do I want you all to date each other? Yes. Do I want you to date people outside of the group? Yes. Do I want you to date people at your church? Yes. Do I want you dated and married? Yes, and yes. Okay, but we're not gonna play the game of it was CSC's fault. Oh, CSC did this. Oh, CSC encouraged us. We're not a cult. We're not telling you to do weird stuff to each other. No, we're saying be respectful, be loving, take your time. Take your time. All right, okay, I think Natalie just dropped out. So who had their hand up? Somebody want to? Diana is not gonna talk to us today. She's gonna talk to us through texting. She's selling out. She don't want us to hear her voice. That's all right. Who else wants to talk? Everybody dropping off. You want to talk, Donna? Go ahead and talk.
Um, Thank you for reiterating what I was going to say. Jay has done an amazing job. Sean has done an amazing job to create a safe environment for us to meet up, have great conversation, meet some amazing people, but take your time. I mean, I see maybe one person that is still left, like Barbara. We went roller skating and she came and joined us to eat and have conversation afterwards. Meet women and men. I mean, ultimately, it is being able to have that conversation, respectful conversation, intellectual conversation in a safe environment. So I commend the leadership for creating that. I did and have stepped up to be an organizer for events for you to come out in a safe place. I encourage that, but encourage me everyone, not trying to single one person out because you just don't know if that person has a cousin or a friend or somebody else not in the group right there, that you kind of close yourself off because you just were not available. I definitely can co-sign. I'm probably not the one that would be approached because I don't normally look approachable, but the men have encouraged me to smile more and walk up and say hello. And I've met some fantastic men and women by just being vulnerable and putting myself out there. So thank you, men, for making that safe space that I encourage the women to come out, because I would have been sitting on my couch still. So just that's my 2 cents.
Oh, Donna, we love you. You're so awesome. But I think Ron's got his hand up. So Ron, take it over. Get on the mic.
Okay, just one thing. First of all, you guys have definitely created a great space, and this I think is going to grow much more than you probably project, because as people come in and experience a safe space and environment like this, they're going to tell others about it, and then those people are going to come in, and then it's going to spread. So I'm just going to say prepare for growth. The second thing, what I wanted to really mention is that besides that is the art of friendship. My last relationship, I realized one of the mistakes I made is I went a little bit too fast. I took, I went probably too quick in terms of going from getting to know the person, transitioning from getting to know the person to actually being in a relationship. And I think now, from where I stand now as a single person, getting to know a woman that you're interested in as a friend is not a bad idea. It is actually great. It's nourishing. It allows you to slow down, and it also has protection built into it, because it allows you to get to see this person in different environments and really develop an organic love for them, not a rush love, not a, hey, I'm trying to get to the physical act. It has protection built into it. And it's great. It's a great feeling when you could actually step back and get to know the person and see what they're like. Because if you're rushing, if you're trying to have microwave friendships / relationships, you're going to have microwave results. If you take your time and approach it like a 5-course meal, where the ingredients are gathered together, some of it may be made from scratch, but everything is, you take your time, you bake things at the right temperature, you put things together, mix it by hand or use a machine, and just take your time to prepare that meal. I think you'll have a much better nurturing relationship, as opposed to the microwave relationships that are being pushed on people nowadays. And as you see, it's not just one relationship. People are maintaining multiple relationships on the side and just destroying lives. So for me, I'm about that 5-course meal. No more microwave results for me. That 5-course meal.
Tammy, I want to call on you because I think I cut you off when I had my input Ron, that was amazing. You're absolutely right. We do not prepare for a marathon without time and energy. We do not get our degrees. We do not move into positions that we are in without work and intent. So excellent point. But Tammy, I want to give you the mic.
No, and that's okay. I was just gonna say I have really enjoyed this, and the next time I'm in Atlanta, I will check and see if there's an event.
What part of town are you in, Tammy? I couldn't hear you.
She's in Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, you keep in touch. You look for my name or DM me or IM me, whatever you come this way. Definitely will get you out and about here in Atlanta.
And let us know if God puts on your heart to start a Nashville CSC. We feel like he's ready to open 2 or 3 more locations. So if you're feeling the spirit on you, huh?
I was listening to you say that. I was like, you have a Nashville.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, we know, just like Ron said, that God is moving and he is taking one city at a time. And right now we have a New York branch, we have a East Alabama branch, and we have the current branch. And so what each branch does is that they do activities. Now we all come together for our teaching, but when it comes to activities, we need somebody local in a city that feels as though they can carry the cross, because it is a cross, for that city. But we also feel that God blesses those that carry the cross and that he will move upon you and he will open up doors for you. But you need to definitely, if you know, whoever is listening, because I know Shane's down in the islands, you know, if God is calling you to do that, do not be afraid. You know, Donna works with Lakeisha, so both of them do the activities for Atlanta. So you don't have to do it alone. You can find somebody at your church. You can find somebody that's a friend who maybe is in the same situation as you. Really, they don't even have to be single. They can be a married person who just likes to get out. So we're not concerned about that. What we're concerned about, as long as they line up with the vision of CSC, which, like I say, the quick and dirty version is to get people married and into strong relationships that will last a lifetime. That is the key element. Okay, so we're doing our best because we recognize that people are in situations where they can't get out. And let's be real, there's some people who are out here making silly mistakes, believing that, oh, I can continue to do whatever I'm doing. And then they think that the world is going to be different. It does not work that way. Okay, and so we nicely try to call people out, try to give examples, try to show things, and just say, hey, you know, whatever it is, you know, we want you to succeed. You know, we absolutely want you to succeed. And when I say it's a labor of love, like Sean Williams has been around for a long period of time. He's been here since almost the very beginning when it comes to the group. And so as an organizer, Sean has probably, and I'm not, you know, I know he's probably a little bit mad for me for saying it, but I'm gonna be real. This is why we push for donations. Sean is probably out of his pocket $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, okay, to push the website. And the first time somebody came to CSC that looked like they were gonna cause problems, you know, I was damn near holding Sean back because he was ready to go to blows. And Sean is a skinny little thing, you know, so, you know, I'd be scared he's gonna break his bones out there, but he's
not
very
skinny,
quick.
it's slim.
So I'm concerned about him. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that he has jumped on for the vision of CSC, and he's concerned just as much as I am, just as much as Donna is, just as much as anybody else. So for you, Tammy, or anybody else, if God has put that on your heart, remember it is a cross. But at the same time, what does Jesus say? Pick up your cross and follow me. So
it's very interesting because I go to God in prayer about everything. And I was just telling her friend, I was like, I need to do something on the side other than nursing. And so for you all to say that, now I'm really going into prayer about starting up something national for people. So,
Well, like I said, I mean, it sounds good to me. You just need to pray about it, and you can DM Donna, or if y'all want to exchange emails right now, y'all can. And if you feel that that is where God is leading you, then we can start looking for Franklin/Nashville CSC. But you know, it's just about creating activities, and we go through. We'll teach you what type of activities that we feel like God is looking for. It's not really hard. It's just a lot of work. Buzz is getting out of here. She's like, y'all ain't gonna call on me. She's like, I ain't doing no activities. I'm getting up out of here. But Shane has something she wants to say. Are you good, Tammy?
Yes, and I'm gonna send Donna my email.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm broken. Come on, Shane.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon, sorry. Yeah, I know you mentioned persons being interested in starting groups in other areas. Think about it, but truth is that this group is my relaxed space. It's good to be a part of something that I'm not part of the organizing and leading because I do a lot of that. So although I think about it, I don't want to give up my relaxed.
Like I said, I'm not trying to force you.
I know, but it's just something. I mean, I give it a thought every now and again. But I'm responsible for children's ministry, and there are other things that I am involved in at church, and always having to organize events and stuff for my job as well. So it's good to be, how should I say, to be organized for.
No, I get it. And one of the things that I would say though, and again, this is not necessarily directed at you, this is just directed at everybody else, is that sometimes God will pull you out of those activities at church. Because he pulled me out. Like I literally was, because of the organization of this, because my church is one of those churches that's encouraged every single person, member of the church, to do work in the church. And I was, you know, like I said, we were maybe a year and a half, maybe going into 2 years in over here. So that would be like, you know, March-ish, which is when they do their push. And I was like, well, maybe I should join the middle grade ministry. And so I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I should walk over there and join the middle grade ministry again, because I used to be a part of the middle grade ministry. And I heard the Holy Spirit tell me straight up, no, do not do that.
Okay.
That is not for you anymore. And there are times when God is calling you out of those places. So you might say, well, my church, but that's where he had put you for then. He might have a totally different place for you for now.
Oh, I'll continue to give it some thought.
Yeah, I mean, just pray about it. The Holy Spirit will talk to you about it, and then you'll see the need.